D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Already a quick slip up.
Nothing wrong with that.
We hope you are having a wonderful Wednesday, a gloomy, cold-ish, nasty day here in Nashville, Tennessee. But that's okay. We're still in high spirits. We've got a fun show planned today. Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News-Sentinel will join us at 3:40 to talk Vols. Jeff Marek will join us at 4:20 to discuss the NHL Draft Lottery, the Predators, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and more. We have a rare Willie Donick rant at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's rare that Willie Donick wants to rant, but we've got one.
We got a whole segment for him.
We've got one. We've carved out an entire segment for Willie Donick to unload at 4 o'clock.
And you're going to want to hear this.
You do not want to miss that. But folks, the NHL is not beating the allegations that the draft lottery is rigged, because last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs won the right to make the number 1 pick next month. The Predators stayed put at number 10. The San Jose Sharks jumped from number 9 to number 2 in the second drawing. But all anybody can talk about is the Maple Leafs, the league's most valuable franchise, getting the number 1 overall pick after missing the playoffs for the first time in 10 years and hiring a GM who nobody likes. So if the NHL is trying to convince you that its draft lottery isn't rigged, Willie Donick, it's not off to a great start after what happened last night.
Look, I'm not going to be that guy. But
however,
they just didn't do a very good job of keeping. I mean,
they fed the beast.
They fed the beast. They did. It was so funny within minutes. It's like, it's rigged. And like, well, what about this? They had this over here, and they went to the commercial. It wasn't live, and then they did this. I mean, immediately. But the math does make sense. It is interesting how few times the team that has the best chance of getting the first pick gets the first pick. That's, I guess, why they did it this way.
I still don't understand this. I really don't.
Understand
like the whole
what?
Draft placement, and because you do one round and then you do another round, why don't you just do the rounds all together? Why you got to do one drawing and then you got to do another drawing? That is confusing, because I'm used to the NBA just doing the drawing, pulling the balls out, pop them up, let's go. All of this, we're going to do a double drawing. I don't understand it. And I know there are I know you two guys do.
To be clear,
Mm-hmm.
I do not believe the NHL draft lottery is rigged. I do not believe it at all. However, as I just said, the NHL is not helping its case when the Toronto Maple Leafs win the draft lottery. Let me set the scene for you.
Right.
Here.
So we need to throw it out for people who didn't see it. Why would conspiracy theory people, besides the fact that it's an original 6 team that kind of needed a boost, got the boost?
Big story came out this week about
but what are the things that actually during the process had people going, hey,
so
there you go.
Toronto was number 5 in the original order. The Maple Leafs had an 8.5% chance of receiving the number 1 pick. The Maple Leafs this season missed the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. Earlier this week, the Maple Leafs hired a GM in John Chayka, who, as I said, nobody seems to like. The hiring was universally panned. There was a testy news conference introducing
he was
John
suspended.
Chayka.
For people that have no idea who he was suspended for cheating, basically, in his last gig, and he was 26 years old. So it was a complete train wreck the first time he got a GM job, and that was, 10 years ago.
So you've got all of that. Rumors floating around. We talked about them yesterday, that Austin Matthews may want out of Toronto. The Maple Leafs completely botched the Mitch Marner situation, and now Marner's in Vegas, and the Golden Knights are winning their second round series against the Anaheim Ducks. As I also mentioned, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the NHL's most valuable franchise. They are worth billions, with a B, billions of dollars. So when you add all of that up, Gary Bettman, Bill Daly, they're like, hey, the Leafs need a win, man. We need them to be good. We can't have Austin Matthews leaving Toronto. We need this. So can you help us out a little bit, random man with the lottery machine? But
random man
with the lottery machine.
I don't know if it's our guy or not, but
also Gary Bettman saying, I can't remember the gentleman's name. We'll say Willie for the purpose of this. Willie, release the balls. That's an extremely unsettling thing to hear Gary Bettman say. No, thank you. No, thank you. But
that's what he said. That's what he said.
He said, release the balls into the machine.
Big time balls.
But Derek, this
goodness.
is reminiscent of what happened in the NBA a year ago. The Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks made one of the worst trades ever.
Mm-hmm.
If you put together a list of worst trades of all time in any sport, the Mavericks trading Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis, who, by the way, is no longer on the Mavericks, that will go down in history as one of the worst trades, I think, in professional sports. And guess what happened? The Dallas Mavericks. Here you go. Here's Cooper Flag.
Get rewarded.
It kind of feels like that, you know?
Yeah, it does. And I'm old enough to remember, as do Willie, the Patrick Ewing debacle.
So much of that same
exactly.
The frozen envelope.
Absolutely.
Well, that came out later, but
Yeah.
it was, but it all starts with, well, hey, the Knicks are a big time franchise.
Mhm.
They're struggling.
They
Let's
need
give them
a
Patrick
player.
Ewing. Yeah.
They need the number one player, so they get the number one pick in Patrick Ewing. Listen, I'm all for conspiracy theories. Believe me, and the NHL just fed the beast. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit back and eat my popcorn and enjoy it, you know, because this is, again, everyone knew going in that who had the most likely chance at winning and who didn't. But I think there are a lot of people that thought, well, based on what we're seeing and what's going on, if Toronto gets this pick, then something's going on here. And lo and behold, Toronto gets the pick.
Can I add more fuel to the
Go ahead.
conspiracy fire?
No, go ahead. That's what these shows are for.
If my calculations are correct, and they usually are, this is the third time in 4 years that the team with the worst record and therefore the greatest odds of receiving the number one overall pick did not receive the number one overall pick. Yesterday, the Maple Leafs jumped from 5th to 1st. Last year, the Islanders jumped from 10th to 1st. In 2023, the Blackhawks jumped from 3rd to 1st. So 3 times in 4 years, the team with the worst record did not get the number one overall pick. And the franchises that did, Toronto, New York, and Chicago. I'm just saying.
Original 6.
Well, not the Islanders, but.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, I said this last year. There's a difference between New York, the Rangers,
and the Islanders,
Madison Square Garden.
I was thinking the Rangers
New York.
when they won the lottery during the bubble thing.
Yeah, that one was weird, though. But you could throw that one in there, too, if you'd like. So one texter, John, says, this is for Adam, my fellow conspiracy theorist. To be clear, I am not a conspiracy theorist. That's Derek Mason.
Yes.
But John says, this is for Adam, my fellow conspiracy theorist. The last time the Leafs had the number one overall pick, they took Austin Matthews in 2016. The draft was in Buffalo, New York. The Leafs now have number one again 10 years later, and the draft is, you guessed it, in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, he's piecing it together.
I think the Twilight Zone music.
Cue it.
But weren't there some other like things? And I didn't see it. I couldn't get myself to do it. I was like, I hope my phone starts blowing up. Please, phone, start blowing up. And it didn't. But wasn't there something about a picture-in-picture or a going to commercial or something about the last one that was drawn?
Yes. Let me find the post.
And people wondering if it was actually live or had they taped it.
Let me find the post. It was from Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News. If I can find it. I can't seem to find it right now. Here it is. Repeating. This is from Mike Harrington. Quote, repeating. Doesn't matter who won the NHL, draft lottery isn't rigged. It just isn't. But key memo to NHL/ESPN. The commercial before the last ball was a bad idea. People jumping on it, anything that contributes to any shred of appearance of impropriety is a bad thing. I believe it was picture-in-picture. They did not go to a full commercial, but in the tiny little box on the side, you could still see the lottery machine. But yes, people seized on that. They did something nefarious when they went to picture-in-picture.
Well,
but
I
it
mean,
is what it is.
They caused it.
It is what it is.
So start the mock drafts. Who's the 10th guy?
Ooh, man.
Well, we can ask Jeff Marek at 420. He knows a lot about these NHL draft prospects. We'll see who could be in the range for the Predators at number 10. In the meantime, let's go to Steve on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Steve, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you, guys. I just had a question. I watched it last night, and I watched it again on YouTube today, and I still can't figure out how did they go from. Well, first of all, I feel so sorry for Vancouver fans and the goalie, that we had here for a couple of years, and now their goalie. But anyway, how did they decide? How did those four numbers? How was it decided the number 12 was the number for Toronto, or what those four numbers came from? I understand that the lottery, the order is the worst team, the 10 worst teams, which is why the Preds were 10th. But how did those numbers change with each one of those four balls that were picked? Can Willie explain that?
I wish
you,
I could.
Steve.
I'm not that good of a mathematician, but this is why I got a C- in probability and statistics in the one math class I took at Vanderbilt. But generally speaking, they create the probability for the 10 teams that have a shot at the first pick, with the Predators having the least of the 10, right? 3.5%. So what they do is they create a number system, a random drawing of four numbers, and they assign the number of possibilities of those four to that percentage, right? So how did you say it? There was how many?
I believe there were 1,000. Well, I heard 1,001.
Yeah.
I heard 1,001 because I think one may have led to a redrawing. I don't know exactly how it works, but I'm looking at the NHL's official document. And for example, the Vancouver Canucks, who had the best odds of the number one pick, had 185 of the 1,000 combinations. The Predators had 35 of the 1,000 potential combinations.
Right. So it's just an extended version of flipping the coin, right? If you flip a coin, heads or tails, that's 50-50. That's your probability. So if you had and some teams, some leagues have done that. I can remember some coin flips going way back to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There was a coin flip for him. There's been other times where two teams tied for the worst record and they flipped a coin. So this is just a more wide-ranging one to include 10 teams and try to weight it the way they thought was best. So even the team that had by far the worst record, Vancouver, only had a 25.5% chance of getting the first pick. And they didn't. So they moved down 2 spots like Nashville did last year. That's, a kick in the
At least the Predators did not move down
yes.
like they did last year. They are staying at 10. One texter says, you were talking about Toronto winning the lottery, but San Jose getting number 2 is crazy.
That is a big
San Jose will be a
Jose.
Scary team in 2 or 3 years.
Whew.
The Sharks jumped from 9 to 2 in the second.
A different
drawing.
definition of jumping the shark. Shark jumps.
That
This
is so
jumping
funny.
sharks.
Very funny.
But yeah, they already have been picking high. They weren't expecting to pick this high, and lo and behold, they move up again. Whew.
One texter, Chris, said, and it says Chris in quotations. Like, is that not your real name, Chris? Is that an alias? Chris says, the NHL draft lottery is a joke. The worst team in the league should get the first pick. With this process, why would any team go through a complete rebuild when you aren't guaranteed a top draft pick? Please answer that, Adam. Oh,
well, they're trying to discourage teams from doing it.
But I do have a related thought on that, which we will get to in just a few moments. Trevor says, clip it. I think Trevor is referring to when I said release the balls. That won't get replayed over and over again. Scott in Shelbyville says, not going to say I told you so, but I told you so.
He did.
Yeah. You said
He
it,
did.
Scott. Mhm.
But the good news is for Adam in Portland, you can keep calling the show because you said at
Exactly.
the end of
Right.
the show yesterday, if the Predators win, we won't hear from you until puck drop on opening night. But that didn't happen. So you can continue to call us, Adam. And so can all of you at 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Your reaction to the Predators staying put at number 10 overall and the Toronto Maple Leafs receiving the number 1 overall pick in the NHL draft. A reminder, Jeff Marek, host of The Sheet on Daily Faceoff. You also remember him from his time at Sportsnet with our friend Elliot Freeman. He will join us at 4:20. We'll get into the NHL draft, the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Predators offseason, the GM search, all of those things with our friend Jeff Marek at 4:20. But coming up next, I want to revisit the conversation we had yesterday about, is now the time for the Predators to swing big in the trade market now that we know where the Predators are going to be picking in the NHL draft. But there is also something I saw floating around on social media last night following the NHL draft lottery that I must address. And we will do that coming up next. 615-737-1025. If you're watching the stream, you don't need this reminder, but if you aren't, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content. Of course, you may be watching us right now on our YouTube stream. But if you aren't, you should go to 1025 The Game, subscribe for all of our shows and exclusive content. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. That was John Buchacross on ESPN announcing that the Toronto Maple Leafs have won the NHL draft lottery, jumping from number 5 to number 1 and fueling many, 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 many conspiracy theories about whether the NHL draft lottery continues to be rigged.
Okay. I asked a question here. Could be a dumb question. I don't know.
There are no dumb questions.
But he pulled the number 12 ball, right?
Yes.
And it stated that Toronto gets the number 1 pick.
Yes.
So that number 12 ball represents a sequence of numbers or a sequence of, because you said that every team within the top 10, they got so many chances at winning. And every team is set up with a sequence of numbers. Is
yes.
that? So when they pulled the number 12, because Toronto wasn't originally number 12, right?
For each of the 2 drawings, 14 balls numbered 1 to 14 were placed in a lottery machine. The machine randomly selected 4 balls. The resulting 4-number series, without regard to selection order, was matched against the chart that shows all possible combinations and the clubs to which each was assigned. The chart showed that the Maple Leafs had been assigned the numbers 7, 2, 11, and 12 that were expelled in the first.
And that's what I meant. Okay, so I see how it goes now. I understand how it goes now. Okay, so I got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm happy to help. Scott in Shelbyville says this is the reason why it would be a futile activity for the Predators to try to do a full rebuild. Mysteriously, in quotations, the picks will go to the original 6 big market team, just like they did on Vancouver. Also, an interesting stat, Vancouver has never moved up in the draft, kind of like the Preds. With the Sharks getting the 2nd pick, it doesn't even matter what they do. The Sharks will be a dynasty if it isn't a conspiracy theory, if it keeps being true. Scott, take off the tinfoil hat, my man. But I do want to address something along those lines from Scott and Chris. Again, Chris put his name in quotations in the text. I thought that was strange. Chris, I do want to address something I saw floating around on social media following the NHL draft lottery last night. And I'm not trying to pick on my buddy Alex Doherty of the Tennessean here, but he posted last night, quote, "I'm sorry, but if you still think tanking works after the last 2 draft lotteries, you need to wake up," end quote. And whenever I talk about how important I think it is for the Predators to put themselves in position to pick at the top of the draft, those of you who disagree with me point out that the unpredictable nature of the draft lottery makes it not worth it. As I said earlier, in 3 of the past 4 draft lotteries, the team with the best odds of receiving the number 1 pick did not receive the number 1 pick. But you cannot win if you do not play. And when you look at the list of the most recent Stanley Cup champions, Vegas is the only one that did not have at least one of its own top 5 picks on the roster. Florida had Barkov and Ekblad. Colorado had McKinnon, Landeskog, and Makar. Tampa Bay had Hedman and Stamkos. Even St. Louis had Pietrangelo. Those teams also had to make smart moves to support those players, but those top 5 picks were on the roster and were key contributors to those championship runs. I saw Thomas Strantz, who covers the Canucks for The Athletic. As we mentioned, the Canucks had the best odds of picking number 1. They fell to number 3. But I saw Thomas Strantz post this after the Canucks dropped from number 1 to number 3. He said, quote, "What kills you isn't picking 3rd overall during a rebuild. It's picking 9th when you're far away from contention, or 10th in the Predators' case." But I agree with Strantz completely. So look, you can find needle movers without having to plummet to the bottom of the standings. But you have to be creative and you have to be aggressive. And if the Predators are dead set on continuing to compete for the playoffs, it will be up to the new GM to find ways to do that. And that leads back into our conversation from yesterday about if now is the time for the Predators to swing big in the trade market. Should that include Willie Donick shopping the number 10 overall pick?
Well, one point on Vancouver. Vancouver, remember, they didn't start last season in a rebuild. They had Quinn Hughes. They were trying to get back to the playoffs. They got off to a bad start, and during that process, Quinn Hughes said, "I'm not staying." So that gave them no choice but to rebuild. That, again, is my theme. Most teams that go for the full rebuild, where they know they're going to be bad for a while, do so because they have exhausted all other alternatives. They don't choose to do it when there's a chance they can stay competitive. I would also contend that Nashville has been going through a soft form of rebuilding for about 4 years. They've been amassing assets, and they still are loaded with assets right now. So that's to the side. Shopping the 10th pick? No. I'm taking the 10th pick or trying to move up. I would maybe use some of the extra draft capital if you could move up a couple of spots to 8 or 7 if there's a guy you really like. And we'll get Jeff Merrick's read on, kind of like we did with the NFL draft, what the consensus is on how deep. This is a Derek Mason question he asked to Elliott last week. How many guys are in that premier tier? It looks like a pretty deep draft from what a lot of people say. I have no idea. I'll be the first to tell you. I haven't watched any of these guys play.
Yeah, me neither.
And they're 18 years old. And even if I told you I'd watched them their entire last 2 years, it wouldn't mean I know who's going to be that good. There's occasional guys that you know are going to be at least very good, if not great. So to answer your question, no, I'm taking that pick. You take the pick, but that doesn't mean that that you can't go for big swings and smart moves. Smart moves are really the key when you get down to it. It's not the philosophy of tanking or not tanking, in my opinion.
What if if they make the pick, whether it's a forward or best player available, they take the pick and they predict or project this guy is sort of like the last couple of guys they drafted in the first round, where it's going to take a few years, 3-4 years for this guy to really, hopefully he comes on sooner than that, but it's going to take about 3 or 4 years for this guy to kind of work himself, through the system. And now he's an NHL player. Well, you got a bunch of those guys. So why not trade that away to try to get someone with some experience on your team?
I looked this up, and thankfully Daily Faceoff had the answer for me. Daily Faceoff published a story last June ahead of the 2025 draft. 11 times top 10 draft picks were traded in the salary cap era. So it doesn't happen very often that top 10 draft picks in the NHL are traded. Again,
Right.
11 times in the past 20 or so years. And oftentimes, it's not like the NFL. Remember the trade last year that the Browns and the Jaguars made, where the Jaguars moved up right from 5 to 2 to draft Travis Hunter, if I have my facts straight. Trades like that rarely happen in the NHL. Oftentimes when you're trading a top 10 pick, it involves trading for a player. So, for example, the most recent example of a top 10 draft pick being traded in the salary cap era was in 2022, when the Ottawa Senators traded what was the 7th overall pick to the Chicago Blackhawks for Alex DeBrincat. So that's what often happens. A team will trade a top 10 pick for a proven NHL player.
Right.
So like theoretically, could the new GM say, hey, we've got all of this draft capital, let's try to move up from 10 to 4? I mean, I guess that could happen. History tells you it's really rare for that to happen. If they were to trade the top 10 pick, I think it would be for immediate help. Like, there's a team that has a player who's not happy in their situation. We'll get that player. We'll include the number 10 pick in order to make that happen.
And if that guy's in his mid-20s, 25, 26, then that's worth looking at, because I'll give you I have a list in front of me, Adam, of the 10th overall picks year by year.
Okay, let's hear them.
I mean, I could go through the whole list, but it's wide-ranging as you would expect. Let's just take a team that you have deemed correctly that went through a tough time, picked high for several years and reloaded, and are now, I'd say, especially the way they're playing right now, they look like the best team right now, the Avalanche, right? So they had the 10th overall pick 2 straight years.
Let me guess.
25 and 2015 and 2016.
One was Rantanen.
That's right.
I don't remember who the other one was.
Tyson Jost.
Okay.
Who played for the Predators last year.
Interesting.
So it's wide ranging, and there's everything in between.
That Tyson Jost, Mikko Rantanen, that is wide ranging.
But Tyson Jost is by far not the worst player.
Oh, for
there
sure.
At all. Have you ever heard of Luc Bourdon? There's a good reason why you haven't.
No.
You never made it? How about Keaton Ellerby? You ever heard of him? Florida Panthers. They know what they're doing, right? What
year was that?
2007. Keaton Ellerby. And they had the same pick the year before. They took Michael Frolik.
He had an okay career, solid career.
Okay, but not what you're looking for the 10th pick, right?
I would argue that, yes.
So once again, it's a wide range of what you could get with the 10th pick. There's other guys on here that are, very, very outstanding players. Val Nichushkin, who's, he's troubled, but he's an immense difference maker when he's out there. You can also get a guy like Cody Hodson or Eric Nystrom, a couple of former Preds.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you're getting with the 10th, but you could hit on a very important piece if you play your cards right and you get a little lucky.
I just wonder you're
Evan
right.
Bouchard is another one. That's he's a great player.
Yeah.
He's 10th overall pick.
I do wonder if there becomes a point where you are oversaturated with young players. As you mentioned, Willie, the Predators have done an admirable job of collecting talent. They've got the 5th best prospect pool, according to our friend Scott Wheeler of The Athletic. But at some point, you've got to start pulling players from that pool. You can draft someone at number 10 overall and add that player to your pool. Or you can, as I mentioned, if the Predators, we talked about this the other day, if the Predators are intent on competing for the playoffs next season, and based on what they said at the end of the season, that's what it sounds like they're going to do, the 10th overall pick can help you in that pursuit. As Derek mentioned, it's likely that player, if the Predators draft someone at number 10, isn't going to be ready for a few years. That player is probably not going to help Ryan O'Reilly or Steven Stamkos or Roman Josi. But if you're trying to help them and you're trying to compete for the playoffs, the number 10 overall pick is an enticing asset for a team with a player who may not want to be on that team anymore. And again, it's about being creative. It's about being aggressive. You look at teams, you look at the Florida Panthers, who did not make the playoffs this year, but of course, 3 consecutive Stanley Cup final appearances, 2 consecutive championships. They had some rough years, some is putting it lightly, but in recent memory, they had some rough years. They got Aaron Ekblad and Alexander Barkov at the top of the draft as part of that deal. But they also went and traded for Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett and Seth Jones and Brad Marchand. Like they had to be creative and aggressive to complement Aaron Ekblad and Sasha Barkov. So having one of those top 5 picks isn't the only way, but I think the past several champions show you that I do think it's a common denominator. 615-737-1025. We'll pick up the Predators conversation at 4:20 with our friend Jeff Marek of Daily Faceoff. But coming up next, Adam Sparks, my old colleague at the Tennessean. He's now at the Knoxville News Sentinel. We'll chat with Adam about the Tennessee Volunteers. We'll talk Vols football, maybe even some Vols basketball as well with our friend Adam Sparks coming up next. 615-737-1025. Boxing fans, 1025 The Game and Team Boxing League have your chance to win tickets to see Nashville Smash take on the Boston Butchers at Municipal Auditorium Saturday, May 23rd. 16 rounds and 16 fighters each go at it for 1 round of nonstop action. Text the keyword FIGHT, FIGHT, to the game text line at 615-737-1025 to enter for your chance to win. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in my old friend, my old colleague at the Tennessean, Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Hi, Adam. How are you?
How's it going, Adam, number 2?
It's going well. Glad that you could join us. So we will get to the football team. I do want to ask you quickly about Vols basketball. Rick Barnes is killing it in the transfer portal. He just landed Juke Harris from Wake Forest. He's added several sharpshooters to the mix. I saw a report from, I believe, On3 that said that this class may have cost Tennessee $18 million or something along those lines, but it appears that the Vols are going to play a much different brand of basketball next season. Less crash and bang on the boards, more scoring from the perimeter. How do you envision that playing out?
Well, I mean, that's the plan. And I know Rick Barnes has told people that they're going to be more offensive oriented. I'll be curious to see it. We've seen this on the football side where, Nick Saban had been one brand of physical style, run the ball, defensive football. And then he switched to more of a wide open spread, look, score a lot of points, throw the ball. And that's sort of it. Rick Barnes is in sort of the same age range and same experience level to try to do something similar. What he's done is he's added offensive pieces, and Juke Harris is one of them. The Hill kid from VCU, obviously the shooter from Belmont. It's a backcourt that can put up a lot of points. The question I have is, in those moments during a game when Rick Barnes sort of feels that, indigestion coming up when he sees a guy not playing A-plus defense, which is what he coaches and what he expects, will he be able to keep his seat and not go to what he's more comfortable with, which is a defensive-minded team? He's done this before. He did this with Dalton Connect, took an offensive guy and, got him up to par defensively. But that's one piece. That's not the whole starting five. And there's, at any given time in this lineup next season, he could have 5 scorers on the court and nobody that really hangs their hat on defense. And that's just going to be an adjustment for him, and it's going to be an adjustment for those players. I think he's going to have to tell himself from the beginning of the season that he's going to have to be disciplined in letting those guys play in that way.
Adam, Tennessee AD Danny White has gone on record in favor of the college football playoff expanding to 24 teams, which goes against Greg Sankey, who wants to cap the field at 16 teams. Would the 24-team format be better for the Vols, and what are the pros and cons in your mind?
Yeah, it would be better for Josh Heupel. It would be, and that's why the Coaches Association came out yesterday in support of it, because these coaches are all about self-preservation, and their thought is, if you get into the 24-team playoff, you keep your job for another year. And in the SEC, you can get into a 24-team playoff with probably an 8-4 record if you have a tough schedule. And with the expansion of the SEC schedule, 8-4 probably will be good enough to get you in. 9-3 certainly will. And so, coaches like Josh Heupel say, hey, I can get to 8-4, 9-3, get in most years. I think the flip side of that is there is a be careful what you wish for element to that, which is if you miss if it's a 24-team playoff and you miss it one year, I think you're on the hot seat immediately. If you miss it in back-to-back years, you're probably fired. And I think some of these coaches do need to think that through. Is it better for, Tennessee fans? It depends on how comfortable you are being in a watered down field and how watered down that field would be. At 12 teams, it's not watered down. I think any of the 12 teams that got in can be good. Last year Notre Dame didn't make it, and they could have got to the national title game. Vandy didn't make it, and I think they could have won a game or two in the playoff had they made it. So it's not watered down at 12. I don't think it would be watered down at 16. At 24, Josh Heupel's had 5 seasons. In the 24-team playoff, he would have made it. He would have made it 3 times. And last year, had he beaten Vanderbilt, he would have made it 4 out of 5. He would have made it 4 in a row. So, are Tennessee fans comfortable with getting in? Having a so-so season and getting in, but not going deep into the playoff? I don't know. I think any fans would get tired of barely getting in and getting put out in the first round. But, as is the case in basketball, you're just trying to get into the tournament. And Tennessee would have a fair shot to get into the tournament pretty much, close to any year in the Josh Heupel era, because his ceiling is not enormously high, but his floor is pretty high, and I think he could get to 8 wins most seasons.
We're talking with Adam Sparks of the Knoxville Sentinel, talking Vols football and a little basketball. But Adam, how is this quarterback situation going to work itself out? Because over the last couple of years, Heupel has been used to having a veteran type of quarterback. And it's crazy to say in college, a veteran type of quarterback, whether it was Hendon Hooker some years ago, Aguilar last year. And I know in between that, it was Nico. But it seems like he better operated, that offense better operated with a veteran underneath center. How is it looking this season, going into this season with the quarterback situation?
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to remember that he wanted a veteran quarterback for this season. Now that they talk up the guys that they have, and I can understand why they were lauded recruits, George McIntyre and Faison Brandon. But Josh Heupel's actions said that he preferred a veteran quarterback again. They brought Sam Levitt to campus, offered him a lot of money, couldn't land him. He went to LSU. They tried to go get Brendan Sorsby. They should be thankful they did not get him now with all the gambling allegations. They brought Bo Prabula in for a visit. Didn't seem like they wanted him, but they explored options. So they didn't want a young quarterback. I think that's more of an indication of some of their doubts about George McIntyre than Faison Brandon. But they were reasonably pleased with what they saw in the spring. I think Josh Heupel actually is comfortable by the fact that he knows what he has. There's not a spring portal, so he can sort of work with what he has and try to make that work. And he doesn't have to make an off-the-field decision to go in another direction anymore. If they play tomorrow, I think it's George McIntyre. He does have a little bit better grasp on the offense. The question is, does Faison Brandon close that gap all the way until they get to fall camp? I mean, the summer is immensely important. They're going to have all their throwing sessions, all their voluntary work. Probably one of those two guys is going to come out in August and look considerably different than they did in the spring. None of us know which of those guys it's going to be. But when they left spring practice, it looked like a coin flip, and all the body language that you could take from it said it was a coin flip. And I think there's a reasonable chance that both guys start at some point during the season. Josh Heupel does not want to do the, you get 2 series and then the other guy gets 2 series. He's not going to do that. But we saw in the 2021 season that he could start the year with Joe Milton and then switch to Hendon Hooker, and I wouldn't doubt if something like that happened.
Now, Jim Knowles goes into his second year as defensive coordinator with the Vols. Now, they've lost Colton Hood and Jermod McCoy. How can they replace those guys, and how will this defense look this season?
Yeah, I mean, they picked up a lot of guys in the portal. They went heavy in the portal on defense, especially in the secondary. They pretty much looked at it and said they need a clean slate in the secondary. It's sort of what they did, I think it was 2 years ago when they brought Jermod McCoy and some other guys in. They scrapped their old secondary and started anew, and so that was 2 seasons ago, and that was the best their pass defense has ever been. They were top 30 that year, and it's because they started fresh, and they did that on steroids, so to speak, this year. I mean, they brought I think it was 3 or 4 corners. They brought in like 4 safeties. They brought in a couple of nickels. Sometimes when you do that, you have more options. Most of the guys they brought in started at the previous team at different levels. You have more options, more competition. Guys are starting fresh. You can get a little more of a sense of who your best guys are. And it also just sort of pushes the competition up of the guys that are coming back. I mean, I would say 2 of their best DBs in spring practice were Ty Redmond at corner and Idris Farouk at safety. And those are 2 guys that were here last year. And so I think they saw all these new guys coming in, and it ramped up the competition, and they're getting their best version of those 2 guys. So I think the secondary is going to be good. It's just a matter of whether or not they can adjust to Jim Knowles' defensive scheme.
Talking to Adam Sparks from the Tennessean. We're talking University of Tennessee Adam, from the very start, when the NIL era opened up, Tennessee was very proactive, jumped on with the collectives and whatnot, and have been at the forefront. And they still seem to be, with these reports that we're seeing, how much money basketball has to go after some people in the transfer portal. How do you think they are doing with that in terms of with the system now, with what you get allotted and what you can still pile on top of that, and how you distribute it to all the teams so there's harmony throughout the athletic program? How do you think they've evolved this last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, they've been pretty agile. You mentioned how they were on the forefront of it at the beginning, and that's how they landed Nico. That's how they had some big wins early in the NIL era. I get asked a lot, has Tennessee fallen back in terms of, NIL rankings for whatever that means? I don't think they've fallen back at all. I think just a lot of other schools have figured it out and caught up. There were a number of schools in those first 3 years of NIL in the SEC that had fallen behind. They have caught up since. You see the obvious teams, especially in football around the country. I mean, Indiana was not the highest spending team, but they spent a lot more than they had with Mark Cuban. Texas Tech is spending a lot of money. Oregon, Miami, the list goes on. And so it wasn't so much Tennessee falling back. I think it was a lot of other schools catching up. There's a challenge to Tennessee, and I wrote about this when the NIL era first started. Danny White likes to say that Tennessee is an everything school, and that's sort of their mantra around here. It sounds good. They've won at a high level in a lot of sports. It's just more of a challenge when there is a finite amount of money out on the market, on the NIL market, because right now men's basketball spending an enormous amount of money, right? Reportedly $18 million. Well, who loses out when you're spending that kind of money? Are you shaving a little bit off the secondary market, the third party NIL money? Are you shaving that off of football? Baseball was a national championship team 2 years ago. They're a team that's probably going to make the NCAA tournament, but barely. Are you shaving money off of there? You still got a demand in softball. Kim Caldwell had to have money to fund that new roster. And so it's just a challenge. It's weird, but in some aspects, you would rather be a school that is really good in a couple of sports, but not good to pretty good in all the sports. And so I think that's the challenge to Tennessee, is to try to figure out how to spend money or generate money enough to fund all these different rosters. Otherwise, one is sacrificing the other, and then you can turn this, what is a harmonious athletic department, on its head if you've got coaches and teams competing against each other for NIL money.
I would imagine that's going on at all of the SEC schools, just how to divide up the pie. I'm curious too about this, Adam. Has Josh Heupel talked about the philosophy? They clearly have resources, but as years go by, I think there's differing philosophies on where to invest. Do you invest in older guys coming up from the non-Power 4 schools? Do you throw big money at guys who are sitting on the bench at other SEC schools? What do you think his philosophy is?
Well, the easy answer for anybody is you have to have a balance of the two, right? Of the high school players and the portal players. But in practice, you're seeing more schools, especially in the SEC, lean more into the portal. Josh Heupel has pushed as hard as he can against that. No matter how many ways you ask it, he will continue to say he prioritizes high school recruiting. There's been reasons to doubt that philosophy over the last couple of years. I mean, they've had a number of guys that they've signed, obviously paid a lot of money to, and then fans never see them on the field. I mean, I could name off the top of my head 7 or 8 different offensive linemen that collected 6-figure checks, and there's hardly any fans in town that can name them because they never saw them play. We only saw them practice. And so, when you're burning money in that way of developmental guys and some of them don't pan out, you could see more of a reason of why you should go into the portal. But Josh Heupel does not think long-term that makes sense. They like to be selective in the portal. They signed one of the biggest portal hauls that they've had, really the biggest one they've had this offseason. I think it was 21 guys. But that's still pretty close to the bottom of the SEC. I just don't see him changing a whole lot unless he gets on the hot seat. and he's not there right now. And so that's where I wonder maybe if his strategy is dictated more by the fact that he has stability at Tennessee.
Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel has been our guest on D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick. Adam, great to talk to you. We'll do this again soon.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You as well. 615-737-1025 if you have any thoughts on what Adam Sparks had to say about the Vols. But coming up next, Willie Donick has a bone to pick with some of you. Yes, you. A rare treat. A Willie Donick rant. Coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David James here with you. Jeff Marek, host of The Sheet on Daily Faceoff. You remember him from Sportsnet. Our friend will join us in about 20 minutes. We'll pick back up the Predators conversation, GM search, offseason, NHL draft lottery, Stanley Cup playoffs, you name it. We'll touch it all with Jeff Marek in roughly 20 minutes. But it's rare that Willie Donick has to get something off of his chest. There's a lot of ranting on this station. There's a sponsored segment at 7:45 every morning where either Robbie or Joe, mostly Joe, occasionally Robbie, rant. I like to rant. Derek likes to rant. Willie's not much of a ranter. I would not call him a ranter. But there is something that I think Willie wants to get off his chest, and it's about certain Vanderbilt baseball fans. So yesterday, Vanderbilt defeated Louisville 12-6 at Hawkins Field. The Commodores are 28-22 on the season, 71st in RPI. Not good. I even saw that Baseball America has Vanderbilt as its last team in its most recent College World Series tournament projection. Willie, when was the last time the Vandy boys did not qualify for the NCAA tournament?
2005.
Man,
It's been a long time.
21 years.
And Vanderbilt, they're on the edge right now. But with Vanderbilt struggling on the diamond, that has led to some conversation about the fate of Tim Corbin. And that has Willie Donick steamed up. So now that I've laid it out, Willie Donick, I'm going to turn off my mic. I'm going to turn my chair. I'm going to watch you. You take it away, my friend.
Well, I hope you guys follow up with discussion questions because you know me, I'm not a ranter, but it's not so much of the fate of Tim Corbin because I know the people over there. There is no fate of Tim Corbin. Tim Corbin decides his fate. But what has bothered me a lot, because I'll be the first to say they're struggling this year. And it's a little bit like the Kentucky basketball fans who are now seeing a new horizon in college sports where just because your jersey says Kentucky doesn't mean you automatically are entitled to get to the Sweet 16 and play for the national championship every year. Maybe there was a day that happened. It's a different game. NIL, transfer portal, all of that. And it's the SEC. Everybody's in it. It's a professional league. So what bothers me is this team, as we just mentioned, they haven't missed the NCAA tournament since 2005. They were the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament last year. Yeah, they lost in the regional. I know. And it's been a few years since they've made a deep run in the NCAA tournament. But I have always, part of what makes me proud to be a Vanderbilt alum, former athlete, and now, yeah, I'm in the trenches with the black and gold fans. I know them. I've known a lot of them. I've gotten to know them over the last 30 years. Is that you don't take for granted success. But it's bothered me a little bit. There are a number of people, mostly on social media, where you get a little more bold, right? I don't hear people booing at the games or anything like that, but people have gotten a little chippy these last couple of years, especially this year, of nitpicking at a lot of things. Like and it's like all of a sudden you're feeling some entitlement of, oh, why isn't Vanderbilt, especially after the football team's done what they're doing, the basketball team's doing better, the women's basketball team. It's a run of success. So there's an expectation, which is good. And nobody's got higher expectations than the baseball program. But it's a little bit of a reality check to think that you're just going to show up every year and have this great team. Injuries happen. We mentioned NIL. I mean, who would be the premier baseball program in the country? Take Vanderbilt out of it. Who would be the one? Who's won the most NCAA championships? It's not a trick question. It's in the SEC. LSU, right? They've won more than anybody. They lost 9 games in a row recently in SEC play. 9 in a row. That's LSU. It's a different atmosphere. But when I see people tweeting about, hey, at the end of the year, we got to have some discussions about Tim Corbin, or he's got to do this on his staff, or he's got to do this on this staff, I don't want to hear it. We're talking about Tim Corbin. There is nobody more responsible, nobody, to the whole evolution of the athletic department in the last 25 years than him. So he's okay if they have a bad year and miss the tournament. I hope they don't. They still have a chance to get in, but this isn't their best team. They've been riddled with injuries in the pitching staff. It may not be their year. Get over it. I don't want to hear it with this, oh, we got to have some discussions about the baseball. No, we don't. He'll figure it out. Now, I know it's not his cup of tea the way the college sports are going. He doesn't particularly love the paying the players. He doesn't love the turnover in the transfer portal and all that stuff. It's not how he would do it. It is messed with his formula, the way he thinks college athletes should be developed. And that's tricky. And he's still going through that adaptation, but he's doing it. But I do not want to hear anybody take for granted that because they're not doing as well this year, we got to have some major changes, major discussion. I mean, I didn't want to read through a bunch of tweets, but I see some occasion, and I'm like, what are you doing? Get a reality check. Again, LSU, 9 losses in a row in the league. This is a different college sports atmosphere. Everybody's adapting. Tim Corbin will adapt as long as he's doing this, right? So lay off. Chill out. Do not take for granted what is going on there. Do not mess with this baseball program. That is my rant.
And you heard it from Willie D. Do not, and I repeat, do not mess with his baseball team.
So you touched on it a little bit, Willie.
Thank you, D-Mac.
Get him. You touched on it a little bit, but for people who have not been following the Vandy boys closely this season, what hasn't been clicking this year? What is behind the average, I guess you could say, comparatively to other Vanderbilt teams' record that they have, the fact that their RPI isn't good? What's been going wrong?
They have had at least 5 pitchers that they were counting on to be key guys go down with injuries. Austin Nye would probably be the headliner. He was a guy that was a really high recruit that they had, pinpointed when he was in the 10th grade. And he was really coming on at the end of last season. Did not do well in the postseason, but a very talented guy who's, he's projected to be a first-round pick next year. He's been basically out for the whole year. There's other guys that have been out too. So they just have not had the consistent pitching that has, again, almost been taken for granted. When you go year by year, they always have those 3-4 guys that are just rock solid that you can pencil in every weekend for quality work. And they're really having trouble getting that week in and week out. And the ones that they still are, still have, there's more pressure on them when they're out there. They're not supported by the bullpen as much. I'll give you another example. They had a game last weekend in Tuscaloosa, probably their most talented remaining pitcher, Connor Fennell. Tim Corbin took him out, and they lost the lead after. Connor Fennell showed some emotion. He didn't want to come out of the game, so it was caught on the camera and everything. They lost the game. It's kind of the way things have gone this year. And everybody's, all over Tim Corbin for this. He said, this is baseball. This happens sometimes. It's just people aren't used to seeing that happen with Vanderbilt baseball. So I'm just trying to get everybody to have a little reality check. Hang in there. It may not be their year, but there have been 20 some odd years in a row of sustained success. I know you're hungry about it, but it's not easy. They're human. You can have a bad year and still be okay. So relax. Take
a chill pill, people.
It's baseball.
RELAX. as Aaron Rodgers once did.
You
Right?
know, they hit their offense is pretty good, and you know there was criticism of their offense a couple years ago, and so ironically they've gotten that straightened out. They have a very good lineup. Their catcher, who is a really good talent, can only DH. He can't catch, and so that's forced them to play their backup catcher, who's not as good a hitter. But by and large, the position players aren't the problem. It's the pitching staff.
I think it almost gets to a point, I think, now because of the way that college sports has completely changed, and for the better, I believe, in a lot of respects. But it's almost as if you're not allowed to have a bad season anymore. You're just not, especially if you've been a perennial dominant team for so long. And they're seeing a landscape of sports change where you can pay people. Automatically, they think, well, you've been in dominant, you could pay them. You could pay players. Just get them on in. And so it almost doesn't excuse you to have a bad season. They always want a good season no matter what. You can have one bad season as Corbin is having compared to what he's had in previous years. And there are people that already want him. You know, we got to discuss this. We got to see, you know, where we're going. Does, you know, he need to go any further with his baseball team? It's like, well, hasn't this guy been winning for 2 decades? Hasn't he won championships?
He's won 2 national championships.
It's like now it's almost they can't afford. They don't have no leeway to have a bad season without someone then criticizing or saying, you know what, your time is up.
Right. So people they start saying, well, he hasn't been to the World Series since 2021. Yeah, it's hard to get to the World Series. They have had some years where it looked like it was lined up for them to go to Omaha. They lost in the postseason. Yeah, that happens sometimes in baseball. It's not easy. Don't take for granted the success. I have full confidence they will rise again, but they're just going through it a little bit at this point. So that's all I want to emphasize there is don't get the big head here. Stay true to the Vanderbilt thing. Enjoy the success. I mean, I'm enjoying it more than it's amazing what the resources are there now. That's a great thing. And so expectations can be high, but don't be those guys that are calling for, hey, we need to talk about no, have faith in Tim Corbin. This guy has earned the status of being able to have a bad year and not ever have everybody freak out.
Joel says, Willie, if Tim Corbin is hesitant to embrace the NIL portal era, then he's a dinosaur. Have to adapt or the program will decline, which is fine. Go Big Orange.
They swept Tennessee, by the way.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Well,
Just throwing that out there.
Just tell them, Willie, have faith. Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
Corbin's going to be all right. The baseball team's going to be all right. But okay, this is a question I do want to ask because I think this is where some of it may be coming from because he's sort of apprehensive about going
he is set on the
in.
record.
Exactly,
he doesn't like
the NIL.
He doesn't like the idea of a college baseball player paying him $600,000 or $800,000, whatever the going price is for a top end guy. He doesn't like that philosophy. He wants much more of a collective. Everybody's getting some, but nobody feels like they're getting more than everybody. You know, it's the reality is you have to do that. So, so it's tricky. He's still trying to find the best way to do it. He knows he's got to play that game or else you're not going to win at the level that he's won. And he has done an amazing job of compiling the best rosters. He still loves the model of taking the guys out of high school, developing them for 3 years, and then setting them out into professional baseball or into life, or eventually both. He does have the #1 recruiting class again for next year out of high school, which, again, isn't quite as impactful as maybe it was 10 years ago because it's hard for a freshman in the SEC, even the most talented freshman, to come in and dominate a league that is full of 22, 23, sometimes 24 year old. No, those guys. It's older guys. It's hard when you're 18 or 19 to come and dominate those guys.
615-737-1025. Willie, do you feel a little bit better?
Yeah, I felt like I need to get that off my chest.
I'm glad you feel better.
And when you see me
615.
at the Hawk, people, let's talk. I'm
When
with
see me at the Hawk. Let's
talk at the Hawk.
Let's hawk and talk.
Yeah,
Let's hawk and talk.
I'll talk you off the ledge. It's gonna be all right. I remember. Look, I played for teams that were nowhere near in this class. Like we were good, but he has taken the program to so many more levels. Let's not forget what the program was back in the day.
I feel like that's a ready-made segment. Hawk and talk with Willie
Yeah.
Donick.
Hawk and talk.
Hawk and talk with Willie Donick. 615.
And we will not bring in Hawk Tua.
Why did you have to bring that up?
What was that, 3-4 years ago?
That was like a year ago.
Was it a year ago?
That was
2
not a
years
year
ago.
2
It
years
was like
ago?
2 years ago.
Just had that.
The Hawk Tua girl, didn't she ruin the Mets season?
I was at the game. She put out the first pitch.
And didn't things go?
Oh, they lost the game. Yes. It wasn't
Thank
there.
God for Grimace. 615-737-1025. Now that Willie's feeling better, it's a good time to talk to Jeff Marek, host of The Sheet on Daily Faceoff. We'll get back into the Predators, the offseason, the GM search, what Jeff is hearing about that, and more coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingen and Donick, 1025 The Game. A little Britney Spears. Why not? Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHundy.com, and welcome in our friend, Jeff Marek, host of The Sheet Daily on Daily Face-Off. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's everyone down there?
We're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us again. So, Jeff, I want to rope you into a conversation we had yesterday. The Predators are intent on continuing to compete for the playoffs. Most of their core players are on the back nine of their careers. Here was the question we were debating yesterday. Is now the time for the Predators to take a big swing in the trade market with all of the draft picks they've hoarded, all of these prospects they've drafted, a new GM coming in? And if so, who is a player you would suggest they target?
Ooh, okay. So this is, wow, what a great question. Okay, so this is predicated on the Nashville Predators competing in what is pretty obviously the most competitive division in the entire NHL, which shows no signs of slowing down and improvement from teams like the St. Louis Blues. So this is going to be challenging. I'll tell you what, you know who I've always wondered about? And again, this is just the three of us throwing this around on a Wednesday afternoon.
Of course.
Like this isn't a report, but there's always been one player that I've wondered about. And if things break well for the GM search and it ends up being Tom Fitzgerald, you know who I've always wondered about in Nashville? Nico Hischier of the New Jersey Devils. And it's not just the Swiss connection with Roman Josi, but this is a team that's always been looking for a number one center, and we know how much they covet two-way centers, see O'Reilly, Ryan. I just wonder if it wouldn't, again, this is predicated on, you got to take a wild swing here, make a big trade, spend some of the draft capital and the prospect capital that you have to try to get back in the playoffs. The guy that I would be looking at is Nico Hischier. You know, at his closeout interviews at the end of this season for the Devils, he was anything but committal about his future with New Jersey. And the minute I heard that, I said, if I'm, well, right now, Barry Trotz, but if I'm the next general manager of the Nashville Predators, I'm trying to get my hooks into Nico Hischier, one of the best two-way centers in the game. I know he's not the biggest guy out there, defensively conscious, always in the conversation for the Selke Trophy. That would be the guy that I would be swinging for.
Interesting. Jeff, you did mention Tom Fitzgerald in that answer, and there is a sense of inevitability around here that Tom Fitzgerald is going to be the next GM of the Predators, or at least part of the front office, maybe president of hockey operations. What is the latest you're hearing about Nashville's GM search?
Well, first of all, I mean, this is one of the longest searches, right? And for good reason. It's a relatively new ownership group, and they wanted to cast the net large, and they wanted to sort of get a full breadth and understanding of who the players are, what they're all about, and more than anything else, like, I would do the same thing if I was Nashville. I'm going down a side road here, but I would do the same thing and try to collect up as much information as possible. I mean, I'm hearing all the same thing that everyone's hearing, and that Tom Fitzgerald is, I don't know if preferred candidate is too strong, but that's certainly the way that it seems. You know, I think that there's a healthy dose of Bill Scott, who I really do admire. You know, Bill's been with the Edmonton Oilers now. I think it goes back to Craig McTavish. So that'd be 4 general managers. Cap wizard, hardworking guy, Michigan State, the whole deal. Brett Peterson from the 2-time Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, general manager of Team USA at the World Hockey Championships. Scott White, who was the runner-up in the Toronto Maple Leaf search, the assistant general manager of the Dallas Stars. I mean, we're all sort of hearing the same names, and it seems as if that's where the Predators have drilled down. But I think we're all on the same page here, guys. It seems as if he wants it and they can come to a deal, I'm going to guess that this is Tom Fitzgerald's position to lose.
Now, Jeff, to the dismay of all of Predator fans, they end up with the 10th pick in the draft. We wanted the number 1 pick so bad.
No conspiracy whatsoever, Jeff.
Okay. Hang on. Can I just? I hate to interrupt you.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Now, here's what's interesting about this draft. Now, Gavin McKenna of Penn State is the presumptive first overall pick. He's a really good player, make no mistake about it. He's a high-skill guy. And after the World Juniors, he really sort of cemented that position. Didn't have the best of all possible starts for Penn State this year, but after the World Juniors, he became a different player. The problem is he's a perimeter guy. He's a guy that plays a lot on the outside. He's highly skilled. He does have a very good shot. He's an elite-level playmaker. But again, he's a perimeter guy. You can succeed in the NHL at that level if your name is Patrick Kane or if your name is Nikita Kucherov. I don't think that Gavin McKenna is Nikita Kucherov or Patrick Kane. So if you're picking first, like the Toronto Maple Leafs are poised to pick first here, unless they trade the pick, I would honestly hate to be the team that has to make that decision, whether we take Gavin McKenna or not. Because if you say no and go somewhere a little bit safer, okay, like you take one of the highly touted defensemen that are out there, and there are no shortage of highly touted defensemen, or you take the Swedish winger Ivar Stenberg, who looks like he could step into the NHL next season. If you do that and you miss, you forever become the general manager who missed out on Gavin McKenna, the most skilled player in the draft. For me, the sweet spot is 2. To me, because you let someone else make the decision on Gavin McKenna, and then you just sort of pick up from there. Sorry, that's my only point on Gavin McKenna here.
No, not at all. And you're leading me right into my question, because you're concerned whether they're going to draft McKenna at 1 or 9. You said that best spot is that number 2 spot. The Predators are at number 10. Are they out of the range of getting an impact player?
No. You know what? It all depends on, what I think Vancouver's going to go with Caleb Malhotra. That's what it seems like. He's probably the best center in the draft. Manny Malhotra's son. He plays with the Brantford Bulldogs of the OHL. I would imagine Chicago and New York and probably Calgary would grab defensemen. Probably Seattle. Winnipeg would probably look up front. At 10, there's a Latvian defender, big defenseman by the name of Albert Smits. He'll probably be in that range. Viggo Bjork is in there, smallish, hardworking forward from Sweden. Wyatt Cullen, who's just a marvelous skater, great puck distributor, high motor guy. He's part of the fuel for USA. Ethan Belchet's a 6'5" power forward from the Windsor Spitfires. Tynan Lawrence of BU might be the second best center available. There's like your Nikita Klepovs from Saginaw, Oscar Hemming at BC. Maybe you get Dax Rudolph if he falls somehow. Ryan Lynn, the smallish, highly skilled defenseman from Vancouver. I'll say this. I don't know that Nashville gets a great player, but in the spot that they're in, they're going to get a very good player, and there'll probably be a lot to choose from too. So I don't look at this one and go like, oh man, 10, you might as well trade the pick. No, they're still going to get a player. Does that player walk into the NHL next season? Probably not.
Well, he led into another question, them possibly trading out of that pick because maybe the guy that they wanted isn't there. What is the likelihood of that?
Hockey's interesting. Every year we say the same thing. Oh, there's going to be all kinds of trades, and this team is moving up. They're going to package. I'm just talking about the first round. Hockey's sort of unique that everyone talks about it. Everybody gets to the draft and they just make their picks, and then they just go home. Like hockey's the one sport that talks a good game, and then everyone just does the predictable thing, and then everybody goes home. So I know I like to play because I'm with you. Like I look at that and say like, man, if we can package this up and get something else and turn it like Nashville's tried. Like when Nashville hosted the draft, they tried to move up to 4 and trade with San Jose because they wanted Will Smith and they were dangling Yaroslav Askarov. Now they ended up trading Askarov eventually to San Jose, but that was the beginning of moving Askarov to San Jose. So I will say that even though you don't see movement in the first round a lot, other than teams moving down and picking up picks, what does tend to happen is a lot of conversation around trading picks happens in the first round, but the actual trade itself happens months later or weeks later. But a lot of the seeds get planted at the draft. But if you're Nashville right now, I think you're open for business and everything is on the table. If the player you want or the couple of players you want to choose from are available, I think it's always a good idea to take the pick, because then it just gets handed over to your development staff and, over to you, Milwaukee. See what you can do with this guy, or you move him depending on which way you want to go. Do you want players now, or do you want players in the future? And that's going to be one of the decisions that the next general manager of the Preds makes here.
Jeff Marek is with us from Daily Faceoff. And Jeff, I'm sure you've had plenty of discussion about what happened in Toronto the last couple of days. Very entertaining, for sure. It's never not.
Yes.
But so with them winning the lottery, what do you think that does to the outlook of the future of Austin Matthews? Because we've had our debate here, our hypothetical. If he were to go on the market, what would Nashville's ability be, and would that be a good idea to dive in there and throw a bunch of assets at the Maple Leafs? But now that they won the lottery, do you think that increases their chances that they could keep Matthews in the fold?
I really do. Now, the other question becomes, do they want to keep Austin Matthews in the fold? And I ask this because if John Chayka and Matt Sundin decide, okay, look, we've got Gavin McKenna. If we look to take Austin Matthews to market or see what's out there, I mean, personally, I would look at Utah and look at players like TJ Ginla and Caleb Dainwaye and Anton Simashev, the big, 7-foot-tall defenseman, like good young players that could really sort of turbocharge a rebuild. And you can spin a rebuild around a lot faster when you have players like that are starting in the NHL. But the one thing, it's a really interesting question too, because the one thing about Austin Matthews is it's almost like right now the Maple Leafs have to demonstrate to Austin Matthews and his agent, Judd Moldaver of the team, that they can turn it around. And last year was a blip on the radar, and this team can spin right back and be in a playoff picture and be in a position not just to get to the playoffs, but also do some damage. Gavin McKenna does speed things up a lot quicker because now John Chayka has options, and he has a lot of them. Even if you want to move down or move off of number one, right? You can do that. Even if you want to move, even if you only move down a couple of spots, that number one spot is still very much coveted, and you can still pick up assets even if you're going to move it. Now, I don't think they do, but at least now John Chayka has that option.
Barry Trotz has used this term, and I think that there was a time, Jeff, you could probably remember, where Nashville was not anywhere close to being the quote destination city, but they have got a pretty good reputation. I'm curious about a guy like Austin Matthews. Would he take an interest because he controls it, right? He's got the no trade, so he could provide the list. Here's where I would go. I'm curious about Utah in that respect. They got a heck of a team for sure.
Yep.
But I'm wondering if so. We discussed, should Nashville get in the game because they have that going for them? They're the no-tax state. They do have a lot of things that they could trade. So do you think it's smart to dive in there to go after a Matthews, if it were to happen?
I don't think you're being a good general manager unless you at least see what the price would be, right? Like find out what the marketplace is. Like if you bring in someone like Tom Fitzgerald, I mean, he's already been sort of at this on a daily basis with the New Jersey Devils. So he has to, I mean, the market always changes, but has a general sense of what the marketplace is for everybody in the NHL. And so I think that it's good for Nashville to understand what it would take. If you're getting at the idea of would an Austin Matthews want to go to Nashville? I mean, his agent has a house there. Judd bought a place there a few years ago, I think right around the same time that he did the Roman Josi deal with Nashville. I know that Nashville has become a destination for players, both while they're playing and afterwards, whether it's Ryan Getzlaf or whether it's George Peros. Like players go, like, put it this way, the secret is out about how good Nashville is, about how great a place it is to live, how great a place it is to, although it has a reputation of like fun city, it's also a great place to raise a family. The team is always trying to be competitive. The fan base is great, and they love their hockey players, especially their tough players and their tough teams. So it is a desirable place for players to go. And I think that if Austin Matthews does go anywhere, he is going west. I think we've all wondered about Los Angeles. I think Utah might be able to put the best package together. Does he want to live in Utah? I don't know. But I would think that Matthews wouldn't dismiss the idea of going to Nashville. Now, should Nashville get in the sweepstakes? I think that if you're a general manager, it's your job to try to find and accrue the most talent you can. And if you have a chance to bring in someone like Austin Matthews, I think you have an obligation as a GM to investigate it. Kind of like how, when it was pretty obvious that, Quinn Hughes wanted to go to New Jersey to play with his brothers, you have to find a way to make that work. If you find out that Austin Matthews wants to go to Nashville, you have to find a way to make that work. You have to.
Okay, same type of question. What do you think the percentage chance, real chance, that Brady Tkachuk would hit the market? Or do you think that's just all talk? Do you think he'll stay in Ottawa? I
don't think it's talk. That rumor has always been out there. There'll be a long lineup of teams if Steve Staios ever decides to take them to market. Brady Tkachuk did say that, all the trade rumors are becoming a distraction to him. I don't think it's a guarantee that he stays. I really don't. Now, that doesn't mean that it happens tomorrow or at the draft or in the summer or even all of next season. But, I remember talking to Matthew Tkachuk, and this was right around the time that Brady was doing his deal with the Ottawa Senators, and everybody was involved. The agent was involved. The dad was involved. Matthew himself was involved. And Matthew Tkachuk, we were having a conversation at the NHL Players Tour. He said, look, the one thing you have to understand is when you negotiate with one of us, you negotiate with all of us here. So he's being advised by a lot of people. I think he knows the marketplace would be massive. I would think that the lineup would start behind Dallas. Dallas tried to get Matthew Tkachuk. They didn't have the assets that Florida had. And I'm pretty sure that Jim Nill would move heaven and earth to try to bring in someone like Brady Tkachuk, which might just be exactly what Dallas needs to get over the hump. But I don't think the answer is zero. If there's any chance that Brady Tkachuk stays, I still think that there's an opportunity for him to leave. So I don't think it's 100% that he goes back to Ottawa next year.
Jeff Marek has been our guest on D-Mace Vingan and Donick. He is the host of The Sheet on Daily Faceoff. You can watch every Monday through Friday starting at noon Central. Jeff, as always, a pleasure. We'll catch up soon.
Man, that was fun. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
Over and out.
615-737-1025. A lot there from Jeff Marek. We will react to it coming up next. You can as well. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
All right, let's talk Loan Pronto. Remember, every day that goes by that you're sitting there, and if you're having some trouble trying to pay the bills or keep up with the rat race of high interest rates with your credit card bill or a car loan, and you're like, I need to reset this thing. I need a new philosophy. Well, that's where Loan Pronto has done a great job for so many of their clients, getting them back with the use of your home's equity. It just is a fabulous way to get yourself on better footing. These interest rates sometimes for credit cards can be over 29%. That's ridiculous. And so many homeowners don't even realize you can use the equity in your home to access hundreds of thousands of cash that can turn around and pay off that car loan or credit card bill. One client got $100,000 approved and saved over $1,500 a month with Loan Pronto. And you can do this all from your phone. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 615-499-5780 or visit loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. See how much money you can get in about 60 seconds. 28 5-star Google reviews for Loan Pronto. It's outstanding. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. A big thank you to Jeff Marek of Daily Faceoff for joining us. A lot of good information there. His idea of Nico Hischier, not one I've thought about. Very interesting. Nico Hischier would, I can't say what I want to say because it's a banned phrase on this program, but Nico Hischier solves a lot of problems.
He would fill a big need
for the Nashville Predators. He was the #1 overall pick in 2017. He's regularly in the Selke Trophy conversation as the NHL's best defensive forward. He's had, let's see here. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Here it is. He's had an 80-point season, a 69-point season, a 67-point season. He's a fantastic player. So that one's interesting. Hischier has 1 year left on his deal with a $7.25 million cap hit, which is an absolute bargain.
He's a needle mover.
He would qualify, in my opinion.
Okay.
But let's get to some of your reactions. Skylar says, so the Predators should trade for Austin Matthews and Brady Tkachuk, or else we all riot. I don't think the Predators have room for both, Skylar.
That would be tough.
Ryan in Nashville says, if Matthews is available for trade, then you do whatever it takes to get him, even if it costs the 10th overall pick, Martin and Evangelista. You do it because number one centers at his age are extremely rare. Vegas did it with Jack Eichel, and the Preds need to do the same. One texter says, so if y'all were the Predators GM and Austin Matthews says he wants to be traded, he also says Nashville is on his list. What would you give up to get him? We talked about this yesterday. Chris Johnston of The Athletic speculated that it might require a similar package to the one the Minnesota Wild put together to acquire Quinn Hughes. And that was a first-round pick, an actual first-round pick, and 3 top prospects who were all first-round picks. So, to me, you would probably have to give up some combination of Brady Martin, Riker Lee, Matthew Wood, Igor Surin, Tanner Molendyke, some combination of those prospects. You probably would have to throw in an actual first-round pick, maybe even a roster player. But, look, as the texter said, Austin Matthews players of his caliber rarely come available. And if Austin Matthews, Jeff made the point, his agent Judd Moldaver, who also represents Roman Josi, lives in Nashville. So there's that relationship as well. If it happens, if this were to all play out, Austin Matthews says he wants out. He has a no movement clause. He says you can trade me to one of these 4 teams. Nashville is one of those teams. You absolutely have to push your chips to the middle of the table.
I think what I'm curious is you hear these names thrown out there. Hischier, who is a notch down from Austin Matthews, but a heck of a player.
And to be clear, Jeff was only spitballing there.
Right, but it's a guy that's got 1 year left on his deal, and he, if he wants to, could test the market or tell the Devils he's going to test the market. He's not going to resign there. That's how Quinn Hughes got on the market. That's part of the reason why Austin Matthews
That's what happened with Matthew Tkachuk in Calgary.
No
That's
question.
Why he's in Florida.
So these are rare things. Most of the time, a guy like Hischier will re-sign. The Devils can offer him more money than anybody else because you can add the extra year when he's your guy. That I would say, 7 or 8 out of 10 times, that's what happens.
Yes.
And that it could happen with Matthews. We also don't know about Connor McDavid in a couple years. But I guess the point is that do you have the ability to go make a move like that if that guy becomes available? And I think Brady Tkachuk, Nico Hischier, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews would all fit that category of worth piling up some assets. Player. When you have a chance to get the big fish, I think you have to be prepared to go all in for it. And even if you don't get it, because there's no reward for having the deepest pool of prospects. You can't possibly use them all. Right. So you somewhere along the line, you're going to choose who you want to keep and choose who you're willing to part with in a package if it gets you the right guy. That really is going to be critical for the Predators, especially if they're going to shy away from the simple, let's tear it down and be bad for a while.
I remain skeptical about whether the Predators should do this, take that big swing in the trade market this offseason. Because as Jeff laid out, when you look at the hierarchy of the Western Conference, Colorado and Minnesota do not seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. Dallas,
Colorado looks like they are on a different level right now.
The Avalanche are a wagon, to use the hockey term.
Now, because I think the Wild are a heck of a team. Now, let's see if the Wild get Joel Eriksson Ek back. I think in Minnesota, it might look different. But, man, I was blown away by how good the Avalanche are looking right now.
But both of those teams will continue to be 2 of the top teams, not only in the West, but in the NHL. Dallas is seemingly always in the mix. Utah is on the rise. Anaheim is on the rise. San Jose, which now has another top 2 pick, is on the rise. And I know what the Predators said at the end of the season. They want to compete for the playoffs. And if you add a Heischer or a Brady Tkachuk or a Matthews, that does make you better for sure. But how much better? And does that push the Predators safely into the playoffs and make them a legitimate threat? I have my doubts. So to me, if you were asking me, should they take a big swing this year? If it were up to me, I would say no. I think
on who?
I would say unless someone can fall into their lap. I would still go with my plan of any holes in the roster you're filling with prospects. You see what you have. That's the mission of next season. That would be my plan, as I've discussed. But again, the Predators themselves don't seem like that's what they want to do.
But would you go for Matthews or Tkachuk, or if they're not all going to hit the market, but
Right.
if somebody like that hits the market,
I agree with Jeff.
You're saying you would shy away from that?
I mean, I agree with Jeff in the sense that, hey, if one of those players becomes available and they only have a really, really short list of teams and you're on that list, I mean, you're not doing your job, as Jeff said, if you don't look into it. My reservation is I'm not even sure if you add one of those players, the Predators become exponentially better. Like we talked about yesterday, I think the trap of the 1 or 2 year retools, like what the Capitals did last year, what the Bruins did this year, that can push you into the playoffs. But what's your ceiling? Are you a true threat, or are you just a threat to make the playoffs and then you're probably going out in the first or second round? So I have my reservations about whether this is the year to do that. But I do agree with the point that Jeff made, that if Brady Tkachuk says, I don't want to be in Ottawa anymore, I'm like my brother, I want to go back and play in the U.S. And here are 3, I think he has a full no movement clause. Here are the 3 teams I'm willing to go to: Dallas, Nashville, and Florida, to join my brother. Just throwing names out there. Then it would be a dereliction of duty as a GM not to say, like, Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, Brady Tkachuk wants to play for us. Well, you got to try. I acknowledge,
especially
that.
at the age these guys are. I think it's really important to stress that these guys aren't 33. Right. These guys we're talking about
will be 29.
Matthews is the oldest of these guys we're talking about, and he
Brady
has not
Tkachuk
turned
will be
29 yet.
He'll be 29 in September. Brady Tkachuk will be 27 in September. Nico Heischer is 27 now.
Right. So these are guys that still have a lot of tread, I think, and are not old, not quote old players. It'd be one thing if you're trying to grab another guy that's 33 or 34. That probably doesn't make any sense.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Predators. Coming up next, we have another update about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. I don't want to do it, but we kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hey, if you've lived in Middle Tennessee for any time, then you've seen the wild weather we could have, or we can have. From weather storms, winter storms, to tornadoes, to flooding, we've seen it all. Like many of you, the winter storm came earlier this year, caught me off guard and unprepared. I lost power for 7 days in a hotel, 7 days worrying about whether, the pipes were going to burst or not. That's when I realized being prepared isn't an option. I'll be ready the next time a weather emergency happens. I started looking for whole house generators and found Tri-State Water and Power in there. They've been in business for over 30 years, people. They specialize in generators for more than half of those years, which is all great. But the reason I reached out to them was because of the reviews and the confidence other homeowners shared about their experience with Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. When Tri-State came to my home, they did a free on-site assessment, which was really neat, and made sure the generator fit my home and my family. They did things and my family. The thing I appreciated the most was they didn't try to oversell me. They went straight to the answers, turnkey. They handle everything in-house from installation to long-term services. I've complained about this with other companies where you get something put in your house, an appliance, and then you have to go to a third person to get it fixed, but not with Tri-State Water, Power, and Air. If something ever goes wrong, I'm not calling around. I'm making one call to Tri-State Water, Power, and Air because they've got me covered. That's the kind of relationship I want, and I know that's the kind of relationship you want. So look, the weather isn't slowing down. It's raining today, so be ready. Call Tri-State Water, Power, and Air today to protect your home and your family. Find them at tristatewhywait.com. That's tristatewhywait.com.
D. Mace, Vingan and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We've got a fun story coming up in about 20 minutes. I'm wondering how much money it would take for some of you to live in a transparent cube and watch sports every day for a month, because that opportunity is out there for somebody. And we will discuss that in just a little bit. But
how many people just now said, that's what I do every day anyway.
Exactly.
I can get paid
in a transparent cube?
Wow. That's what you mean.
I don't know about the cube, but like.
I mean, some apartments are cube-like.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah. If you got four walls and four corners, it's
exactly
small too.
Probably a cube of some sort.
Does anybody else get weirded out?
Trapezoid?
Like, I'll go on family walks. We like to go on family walks every night when the weather is nice. And I always find it weird when you're walking by somebody's house, they have the blinds open and you can see inside their house and see them inside their house. I'm like, this is very strange to me. Like,
you're trying to force yourself not to look.
But
But
here's
you look.
one thing I'll always do if I see a TV. I'm like, I wonder what they're watching in there. Like, I'll like,
Right.
I've
You got the
always
Mets on back there?
I've always
Is that a Met fan?
rode back, like, as I'm driving my houses, sort of later in the evening if I'm out, which is rare. But when I'm riding past the house, sort of like you, I'm like, what are they doing in there? Like, what's going? Because some houses, it could be 8 o'clock and it's completely dark, but someone's there. And it's like, what are they doing in there? Like, do they not turn on their lights, or do they have on one light way in the back and nobody can see? I've always wondered that.
I mean, I parked my car the other day, and I got out of the car, and my neighbor has a window on the side of his house, and you can see his TV, and he had one of the hockey games on. I'm like, oh, fellow hockey fan. That's cool, man. But I'm always like, what are they watching on TV? What's on? Anyway, we'll get to that in just a bit. Unfortunately, we have another juicy story about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, courtesy of TMZ Sports, with Tim's Sports, with the headline: Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini kept things afloat during her pregnancy. Allegedly rented boat together.
Kept things afloat.
Kept things afloat during her pregnancy. ... Allegedly rented boat together.
A boat.
A boat.
A boat afloat.
A boat afloat. Add a new chapter to the Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini saga, because TMZ Sports has learned they allegedly rented a private boat together for a day on the water, just the two of them. The NFL duo booked the vessel in Putnam County, Tennessee.
Putnam County.
Back in June 2021, according
three
to
of them.
Three what?
Her, him, and the child.
Well, don't spoil it. The NFL duo booked the vessel in Putnam County, Tennessee back in June 2021, according to a source with direct knowledge, who also says the then Tennessee Titans head coach and the journalist were the only people on board for their 2 to 3 hour rental. There's also pictures of the waiver with their signatures on them. The timing of that outing might raise a few eyebrows because Rossini was pregnant at the time with her first child. Documents obtained by TMZ Sports show both signed the company waiver before heading out on a lake, and our source says there was no visible PDA before they departed. We're also told Vrabel and Rossini appeared cautious about photos being taken, and while she declined to pose at all with the staff, Vrabel agreed to snap one pic, but allegedly asked that no images be publicly posted, although this image is now posted on TMZ.com.
Oh my goodness. Excuse me, people. Oh my goodness. Thank you, David. Thank you, David. I mean, listen, you just got to make fun of it. I feel bad for the people, you know, that it reaches, his wife, her husband, the kids, and everybody. But man, this story gets funnier and funnier. Like, man, you dirty dog, man. That's what we used to say back in the day. Just dirty dog.
I'm just picturing the TMZ reporter talking to the witness or whatever. Say, was there PDA? Did you or did you not see any PDA?
They went out.
Excuse me, PDA, public display of affection. That would be hugging, kissing, interlocking fingers.
We can only
on
hands
on butts, love handles.
One can only assume that if there was any PDA, it was done offshore. That's where it was done.
Once in the water,
at sea.
PDA is okay.
At sea.
At sea.
Did one of the people?
It was done at sea.
Did one of the people say, "Did you see any PDA?" No, I saw no Palm Pilots. No personal digital assistants.
Man, they went to Putnam County.
We're digging deep now.
Putnam County.
We've made it to
Cookville?
Putnam County.
Putnam, you are on the map now.
Putnam County, that's Cookville-ish?
That is
right?
Cookville, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Putnam County, you on the map.
Putnam
Cookville.
County, they just sleep.
Oh, man.
Putnam County, Cookville.
Somebody was like, they'll never see anything over. We're in Putnam County.
Yeah,
Who's going to see
nobody
it?
ever comes over here.
Yeah, they found you.
There you go.
Sir, we found them.
Oh my
I
goodness.
wonder how somebody must have sent that to them. Somebody must have tipped them off.
Maybe it was
to
the
know
person
exactly
that said,
where
okay,
to go.
if I take this picture, you can't post it.
Yeah.
He's held that for 6 years and like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
let this out.
I'm gonna put it out now. Man, that is woo. It gets a little bit more complicated as you go. And this probably won't be the last one.
One texter says, welcome to my life. I'm pretty sure my wife is a vampire when it comes to lights being on in the house. I'm the one that's a vampire in my household. I like the lights to be off. Josh says, that's so funny. I thought I was the only one when I see somebody's TV on from outside. I always try to see what they're watching. But back to this for a moment. Mike Florio had a story a couple of days ago on Pro Football Talk. Hints emerge that Diana Rossini will eventually tell her story. And I am wondering if and when she does tell her story, where she decides to do it. Does she do a tell-all interview that Good Morning America or the Today Show can publicize for a week leading up to it? Does she go on a podcast and share the story? I can't imagine that Diana Rossini is never going to address this. I also have to imagine that there are probably plenty of booking agents throwing money at her. Hey, come on our podcast. We'll pay you $500,000. Sit down with Robin Roberts. We'll pay you $1 million. Like, I don't know how all of that works, but I have to imagine that she's not going to go softly into that good night. That's not going to be taken out of context. She's not going to go softly into that good night. She's at some point going to have to address this, I imagine.
Well, yeah, she is. Because it seems like there's going to be these little, eggs that are left out there every so often, Easter eggs, every so often, that when you think you're over the story, then something else is going to hit you in the face, or somebody else is going to come out with a photo or say, oh, we saw him here. So I do expect it would. Wouldn't you expect her to say something eventually? Say something eventually, because she has been portrayed as the wrongdoer in all of this. So when you have been portrayed the wrongdoer in a situation where there was another person involved and they had just as much responsibility than you, or whatnot, you eventually want to come out and say something like, no. Either this is how it went, this is how it didn't go. Here's the question, and I'm gonna leave it alone after this. It seemed like this went back, what, 5-6 years?
At least to 2020.
Okay. Do you think that it's over?
At this point, I have to imagine, because
No.
now, you don't think it is?
No.
I don't either.
No.
I don't think
6
so.
years. That's why I brought up the 6 years, man. That's 6 years of building
before going back to Cookville.
You think they went to Buc-ee's? No. They probably wanted to go.
I mean, the only person I know who doesn't want to go to Buc-ee's is Willie Dominic.
Willie, I've been to Buc-ee's, man, and I loved it. I loved it.
We are going to take a show trip to Buc-ee's at some point.
It'll happen someday.
Willie,
you guys will break me down.
When I went to Buc-ee's, my homeboy and I, Gerard, went to Buc-ee's.
Sorry.
Where we going to my I think we were either going to his son's football game or my nephew's football game. But we stopped at Buc-ee's. It might have been both times. But we stopped at Buc-ee's and they had the best. And when I mean the best, you remember the old apple pies at McDonald's?
Oh yeah.
Who could
you know
forget?
how good they were?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know how good they were?
Oh, yeah.
You know how good they were? That Buc-ee's had them. They were.
And I bet they're better too.
I had me 3, and they were warm too. And we sat outside in the parking lot of the car and we ate everything.
I mean, I've told this story before. The first time I ever went to Buc-ee's, I stayed in the car with my son, who was an infant at the time. My wife went in to use the restroom. She came back like 25 minutes later. I see her through the rear view mirror with a big plastic bag. She opens the door and says, "I blacked out and bought all this stuff." I mean,
it will happen.
That's what happens. Joey from Gallatin says, "Watching TV through a window reminds me, growing up, I was grounded all summer for bad grades. My best friend was my neighbor. I couldn't watch TV. So he opened his living room blinds and left the TV on for me at night so I could sit in my window and watch cartoons before bed."
That's a real
He was
friend.
a real one for
That's
that.
a real friend right there.
He was
boy.
a real one.
I hope y'all still friends to this day.
That is a real one indeed. Let's go to our friend Mark in Nashville on our phone line. Mark, thank you for calling, my friend. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, fellas? D-Mace, Willie, Adam.
We're good, Mark.
What's this show? Hey, what's this show now? Inside Edition. I mean, y'all
We got to give it to you, man. We got to give it to you, Mark. It's news.
Yeah, I mean,
sports.
I mean, hey, let me ask you something, Willie, D-Mace, Adam. True or false? Do y'all really think this story is true? I know TMC, they can Photoshop stuff. You never know. Do you all really think Vrabel would cost himself? And he's got a real nice looking wife, play-on player, but he's got a real nice looking wife, though, man.
There's a lot of smoke,
Hey, listen,
Mark.
I'm
There's
gonna
a
tell you
lot
this,
of smoke,
Mark.
my friend.
Halle Berry, who I think is gorgeous, her boyfriend cheated on her. Her husband cheated on her. So what do you mean? Just because he has a nice looking wife, it don't stop anything. Now, there's a lot of smoke going around, Mark. So, I mean.
Well, they say where there's smoke, there's fire, D-Mace. That's why I made the comment, play on player. If he's doing all that, hey, man, Diane Rosita's a nice looking woman too, man. But, I mean, man, they both stand to lose a whole lot in this. And I think Vrabel's reputation has been tarnished big time with this. Robert Kraft got caught down in Florida doing some things. I don't know how he's going to look, I don't know how he's going to look at that situation, man. But I'm like D-Mace. I think, 5-6 years, they ain't going to just turn it off like turning a water faucet off. Yeah, something may be going on with this, but how you doing, Adam, by the way? Doing all right, man?
I'm great, Mark. Thank you very much.
Hey, man. Hey, Adam.
Yes, Will.
Hey, Adam.
Yes, Mark.
Hey, man, give our godchildren a good hug now before you go to bed tonight. Tell them Uncle Mark and Auntie Sugar-Free asked about them, okay?
Goodbye, Mark.
Goodbye. Have a good one.
I think that would be very confusing to my children. And also my wife.
Auntie Sugar-Free?
Auntie Sugar-Free.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, listen, Mark, I understand. We got to mention it. We mention it tongue in cheek, in all fun. It's not
the story, like
it feeds itself.
It does. And every time it seems to be dissipating, something else pops up. And look, as I said, I imagine at some point Rossini is going to share her side of the story. I am from a media perspective. I am fascinated by how she would go about doing that, who she would do that interview with, and all of that. But when I saw that during one of the breaks, I just had to bring it to y'all's attention. 615.
It's local news. It was in Putnam County.
Yes.
Do it with Shannon Sharp.
Don't do
Get on Shannon Sharp on podcast. Or
Oh,
Cam-
you know Shay's going to go crazy on that.
Exactly. We get it all out then.
I mean, look, he was allegedly in Putnam County, Tennessee, on a boat with Diana Rossini when she was pregnant with her first child when he was the coach of the Tennessee Titans. So it is a local adjacent story. That's all I'm saying. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, a fantastic opportunity for one of you if you are a big sports fan. I'm really curious how much money it would take for you to do this. And by you, I mean all of you and us. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Robbie and Rex Road lives here. Tomorrow morning at 6. Your sports
D-Mace Vingen and Nonic 102.5 The Game.
He on the boat.
On a boat. Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini
Afloat.
On a boat.
on a boat.
Afloat.
Afloat on a boat.
Relationship was afloat.
On a boat. Oh, man. I
Now
remember when
sinking.
that song first came out.
They didn't have no soap.
Because they dropped it.
Well, we're going to end the show early today. That's it for us. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. All right. Actually, we're not going to stop. All right. I saw this yesterday, this press release from Fox Sports. This is a fantastic opportunity for you soccer lovers out there. From Fox Sports and Indeed, the job site, I'm reading straight from the press release. Quote, Fox Sports, Fox One, and Indeed, the world's #1 job site and a leading hiring platform, announced today the launch of a nationwide search to fill the position of, this is the actual title, Fox One Chief World Cup Watcher hired through Indeed, a dream job for cultural moment fanatics across the country. Created specifically for Fox Sports' presentation of the largest FIFA World Cup in history and paying a $50,000 salary. The role will task the hired candidate with watching all 104 matches across the 39-day tournament. And in doing so, you will be watching all 104 matches over 39 days in a, quote, custom-built dream viewing space in the heart of New York City's Times Square. So, for $50,000, you will be in a transparent cube in Times Square in New York City. And you will have to watch every minute of all 104 matches across 39 days of the World Cup. So this is my question. How much money would it take for you to live in a transparent cube in Times Square for a month and watch sports?
That's about 2.5, almost 3 games per night. And I think that's doable. It just, because I'm sure the games, they're on Eastern time. I'm sure the games will be early enough where, you're not sitting there all night and watching the game until, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It may end up being that way for a few of them, but as long as they are all, and we're talking about 3 a day, I think it's doable. It just depends on what type of cube you're in. Like,
So
is it nice?
So the news release does not mention what's inside the transparent cube. Does not mention
accommodation.
Does not mention the accommodations. I have to assume that this person is going to be living inside that cube for a year. Or not for a year, for a month. A year would be something.
39 days.
39 days. You're living in the cube. I have to imagine you're not allowed to leave the cube. I mean, I don't know where you're going to the bathroom. I assume you're sleeping in the cube. Those details have not been provided, at least none that I have seen. But you're in the cube.
It says custom built dream viewing space. Now, my dream viewing space would at least include a bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of drinks, a lot of food.
So
air
I
conditioning.
think these are the questions I would ask.
Yeah.
But my instinct is I'd sign up for it. I would do it. I could make it.
Is it a
$50,000.
10 by 10? What is it?
And when the games are over, can I leave the cube? Can I go see the sights of New York? Can I go get a little dinner somewhere nearby?
Or are they bringing
take
us
the
dinner?
subway as long as I'm back for the beginning of the next day?
Yeah.
Or am I trapped in the cube?
I'm going to assume you're locked in the cube.
Really?
I'm going to assume
for 39 straight days?
For 39 consecutive days, you're locked in the cube.
No way. Is there a shower facility?
That's what I'm
personal
saying.
hygiene.
Yeah. None of these questions have been answered. And I feel like that's a big if. Because if it were like you can't leave the cube for 39 days, I'm out. Not even for $50,000.
No, it would definitely have to give me more than $50,000, even if they had food and everything else.
6 figures at least.
Yeah, that's what we're starting with that.
And I mean, I'm not the biggest soccer fan, so I think it would require more. Brian says $500,000 minimum.
See,
Minimum
6 figures. See?
500,000. Oh
I don't blame you, man. Inflation.
$50,000 in 39 days for something that 39 days is
It
a lot,
stresses
but
you have to watch every minute. It stresses. You have to watch every minute. So it's not like, oh, I'll check on the game in a bit. No, you have to watch every minute.
Then don't you have to give some type of commentary or something on
You
social
have
media?
to be like a content creator.
Yes.
You've got to put
They're
stuff on
let's-
social media.
Let's check in on Adam. He's in the
Yeah.
cube. Let's see what he's doing. while
Day
he's
12
watching
in the
game.
cube.
Adam, how you doing in there?
I've lost all sanity.
Right. So they're going to want a personality
Uh-huh.
who can add to the coverage, right? Just in a comedic way, whatever. So I don't know what the challenges are. Like, Adam hasn't showered since the beginning of the
Oh, boy.
tournament.
I'm
Or
not going.
this is
that-
Adam's lucky shirt.
Hell no. If I
Like,
if
you
I
need-
can help it.
this needs to be a character.
Could you
So-
see Nick Frazier doing this?
Oh, he would
Oh,
sign up on a
definitely.
heartbeat. To do
Absolutely.
that. He'd be perfect.
Nick might end up building
might-
something inside.
I
of there.
nominate Nick Frazier for this job.
Exactly.
I think
and Nick
we're going to try
loves-
to do
Nick
Fox
loves
Sports
soccer.
a favor.
Nick
Yeah.
loves soccer.
He'd be all over it. They would love
Talking
it.
couch host. You can listen to every podcast on one side of the game.
He
There you
could.
go.
He would be cooking food in the cube.
That's-
Special
that's
recipes.
Nick.
He'll bring his griddle.
He would.
Yeah.
He would. Yes, he would mingle with the people of New York. Oh, Nick is
Nick,
perfect.
we
for
gotta
He
that.
would
get
talk
you.
to people while he's in the cube.
Yes,
Like, hey
Nick.
guys.
Nick, we got to get you. We got to get you in
Okay.
that pool of people.
I do appreciate this texter making a great Simpsons reference. You have 30 minutes to move your car. You have 10 minutes. Your car has been impounded. Your car has been crushed into a cube. You have 30 minutes to move your cube. That's for Chase McCabe. I do appreciate that. One texter, Matt, says, I'm in the Navy. I was built for this. Sign me up.
Okay.
LOL.
Yeah. I'm sure he. Yeah.
50 grand is not enough.
That is not enough.
That is not enough. Also, assuming that you're not allowed to leave the cube. Maybe it's like, okay, this is sidebar.
Mhm.
For some strange reason, and this may explain a lot about me. You know how people have comfort shows that they like to watch when you don't really have to pay attention. Maybe you're winding down after a long day. You know what show I'm watching right now?
Mhm.
Prison Break. That show is not
That's
soothing.
an old show.
I know, but that show is not soothing at all. But maybe it's like when you're in prison and you get like an hour in the yard. You get like an hour to leave the cube
Get some
every day.
sunshine.
That's another good question. And if it's time to do the comfort show, the games are over. Can you invite somebody into the cube with you
I don't know.
for
Yeah.
social purposes?
Well,
Now you're breaking the law. I bet.
no, that's not breaking the law.
I mean, everybody can. It's a cube. Everybody in Times Square can see what you're doing.
No, but
some
I mean,
camaraderie. Some
New York
companionship.
City is no stranger to exhibitionism.
yeah.
So,
This is true.
They can't see you going to the bathroom if you got a bathroom in there. That has to be cut off.
so I'm looking at the schedule for the
Uh-huh.
World Cup. So the first 2 days there are 2 games, a lot of 4 game days
Ooh.
as well. 4 game days for quite a while. Honestly.
hold on, do they
there-
give
there are
times
times that
for those
there's
4
two games
games?
going on at once, though. So
It does not have the times.
Okay.
On Wednesday, June 24th, there are 6 games going on.
Quad television, Willie.
Yes.
There we go.
I'm sure the state of the art
Yes.
cube will have that the ability.
Use the
Does
quad
the
box.
cube have the multi-view? The cube has to have the multi-view.
gotta.
Oh
Yes.
man, I
Okay, what's
The role is designed for applicants who embody the chaos and obsession of watching sports, whether it's juggling group chats, reacting to last-minute goals, simply asking, when does the next match kick off?
it would from this standpoint, I think it would be fun. At least, for the first 15 days. Because it's like they just said, like the excitement with with soccer and the excitement of the World Cup. I think you will enjoy it for a good while, but then I think like everything, it's like, okay, it becomes repetition and you keep on saying the same thing over and over again. So 15 days probably would be max, but anything after that, man, that'd be tough.
One texter says, what do you do on the off days? The tournament lasts 39 days, but there aren't games every day. The group stage has multiple games a day, but the knockout rounds have off days.
Right?
Yeah. So what do you do? Do you stay
get
in the
some?
queue?
Do you get recess?
I mean, New York's a big city. There's a lot to do.
I think
Let's see if the Mets are in town.
Take a bite out of the apple?
if I were Fox, I'd be like, no, you're in the cube.
Well, that means you got to give me like 6 figures. We got to start at 6 figures.
One texter says, will the cube be able to filter out the urine, marijuana, and feces smell of Times Square?
Yeah,
I mean,
that too.
that's
Yeah, that is tough.
that's a good question.
Good luck with that one.
I don't think it's that. I don't I've been to Times Square a few times. It's not that bad.
No, not all the time.
Not in the middle where they're going to have this.
I'm sure they're going to clean it. The area right there is
right. There's
clean,
definitely a garbage smell. That's part of a big
New York.
city.
I mean, that's just
Not
part
that
of the
bad.
New York City experience.
Yeah.
It's just
Rats.
It also smells like hot dog stands.
Hot dog stands. Street meat.
Yoo-hoo.
It's a charm.
It's the charm of New York.
Street meat. Two steaks.
I remember there used to be a show on MTV called, I believe it was on MTV. It was called Band in a Bubble.
Yes.
And it was a television series where a band would go into a quote unquote bubble and it would be broadcasted around the clock while the band wrote and recorded an album.
Was that late 90s, early 2000s?
It was early to mid 2000s.
Okay.
Band in the bubble. I'm wondering if it's a situation like to me, if you're committing to this, I think, I think you got to be in the bubble. I think 39. Who's that? Is it David Blaine, the illusionist? Like David Blaine, you're going to be in the bubble. You're going to be in the tank for 30 days without breathing or whatever. I don't know. Like I think you've got to be in the cube all in. You don't come out until the end of the World Cup.
Because that's the allure. I mean, if I get to go in and come, I think everybody would do it. Like, oh, I get to leave once they're off. Oh, I do it. But no, you got to sleep in there, buddy. Can't step foot out of the cube until all games have expired.
You're gonna stink so bad.
Oh man, hopefully they got a shower.
Maybe they'll provide some dude wipes or something like that.
Dude wipes ain't gonna be enough. 39 days ain't enough dude wipes in the world, man. I need some water on my body.
Perhaps Cosmo Kramer, but Cosmo says, "Hey man, if it's New York City after $50,000 for the taxes, you're going to owe them money."
Exactly.
Important question.
Exactly. Yes, because they will tax you.
I think to subject myself to something like this, it would require at least six figures. I would start at $100,000.
So, what sport would you watch? Like,
I mean, I would do it for the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Okay, Stanley Cup.
But that's longer. That's 2 months.
Yeah, it is. Ooh.
The NCAA men's basketball tournament. I
may do it for March Madness though,
because
like after
3
the
weeks.
first four in, after that stuff, once they get to the real games, then I would do that.
If you count the conference tournament and all the way through the Final Four, it's not 39 days, but it's maybe 30, right?
Yeah, because at the beginning of March, toward the end of February, beginning of March, and then March Madness starts, and then it's over with. So yeah, this is roughly a month.
39. Days 30 through 39 may not be super easy as the field gets whittled down and there's days between games. And
by the end
there a while.
By the end of it, I would look like Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Yeah, man,
my hair would be growing back out. I'd have a beard. I'd be talking to a volleyball.
Not all your hair.
that would be me. Josh says he would do it for $10,000. I mean, Josh. Don't sell yourself short,
have
man.
Some standards, man.
Yeah,
Josh, I feel you. It's hard in this world, man. 10,000 to take you somewhere. I don't know how far, but it'd take you somewhere.
615-737-1025. All right, if you're a sports fan, Fox is looking for someone to watch all 104 matches of the World Cup across 39 days while living in a quote-unquote custom-built dream viewing space in the heart of Times Square. It pays $50,000. How much money would it take for you to live in a transparent cube in Times Square for a month and watch sports? 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick 102.5 The Game. Did you choose this, Willie?
I did before the TMZ report came out.
He knew something was coming down the pipe.
My theme was just an innocent, let's go back to the 90s and get some good grooves going from the 90s.
Shout out Naughty by Nature.
Yes.
OPP. Other people's property, which ties nicely into the story we had with Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel to start the hour of them allegedly going on a boat together in Putnam County, Tennessee, back in 2021. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Putnam.
Danny.
Cookville's on the map,
Cookville.
everybody. Cookville
on the
is
map.
on.
That's where the action is.
That's,
Exactly.
well, some kind of action, I suppose. Glad to have Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel and Jeff Marek of Daily Face-Off on the program today, talking Vols and Predators, respectively. If you missed either of those interviews, you can find them wherever you listen to your podcast. Really insightful stuff from both Adam and Jeff on their respective beats. Tonight, in the NHL and NBA, more playoff action in the NBA. Sixers and Knicks, game 2. The Knicks lead the series 1-0. Also, the Timberwolves at the Spurs tonight. I believe the Wolves lead that series, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
1-0. In the NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs.
By the way, Wembanyama went 5 for 17, 0 for 8 from 3 in game 1.
Yikes.
So let's see how he responds. Of course, he had like a gazillion block shots and like 15 rebounds as well.
15 rebounds, 12 block shots. Man.
Like a triple-double and still lost. It's
Exactly.
insane.
So we've got 2 good games on the NBA schedule in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Puck drop in just a matter of moments. Top of the hour. Game 1, Montreal at Buffalo.
Who
Oh,
you
boy.
Boy, the
you got?
atmosphere in Buffalo.
That's going to be a
in
great
Montreal,
series.
holy
Great
cow,
series.
that is going to be awesome.
I think that's a toss-up series, Willie. I could see that series going either way.
I've got the Sabres in this series, but
Why the Sabres? Both teams are incredibly young.
I think the Sabres have a little better defense.
I would agree with that.
But I what I hope, just for entertainment purposes, is that it is wide open and you see the young skill on both teams just unfettered and free.
I mean,
right?
you've got Cole Caulfield and Lane Hudson in Montreal. You've got Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson. One of my new favorite players in the NHL, Zach Benson of the Buffalo Sabres. He's a feisty one. The 2 youngest teams remaining in the Stanley Cup playoffs, starting the second round series in Buffalo. As you mentioned, Willie, the atmospheres in Buffalo and Montreal are going to be incredible for that series, which begins at the top of the hour. Also in the Stanley Cup playoffs, game 2, Anaheim versus Vegas. Vegas leads that series 1-0. A reminder, Predators fans, you do want Vegas to win that series, which may be hard for you to stomach. But if Vegas wins that series, you get a second-round pick as a result of the Nick Hague trade. So keep that in mind.
Did you happen to see the end of
Oh,
game
I sure
1?
did.
Did
the Ducks get hosed? Yep.
Yeah, they did. They did. And Joel Quenneville.
Share what happened for those who did not see.
Vegas was leading the game 1-0 in the third period fairly late. And then Mikhail Granlund tied the game with a goal. Granlund's playing great for the Ducks.
He's been very good for them.
He's really good. Which, again, goes back to if you thought they were crazy to trade Kevin Fiala for Mikhail Granlund, I have a bone to pick with you. Those are very interesting trade. I don't regret that trade at all. But Granlund is still going. But right after the Ducks tied the game with Granlund's goal, there was a flip down the ice. It looks clearly like it's going to be icing. Jackson Lacombe is going back for the Ducks. Jack Eichel is going back for Vegas. It looks pretty clear that Lacombe has got a bead on the puck. He's got a step on him, but they waved off icing. And immediately, Joel Quenneville goes nuts that he sees the guy wave it off. And sure enough, Vegas gets the puck back and scores the go-ahead and what ends up being the game-winning goal. So then, at that point, Joel Quenneville just lost his mind and just, I mean, he was leaning. He was literally like climbing on the backs of his players to get closer to the ref so he could yell and scream at him. So it was a very controversial call. Dave Jackson tried diplomatically to defend the linesman, and he did make a couple of good points, but that's 100% icing. It just shows you how quick and how important every play is in some of these games. So the Ducks feel like they got hosed. Let's see what they come back with tonight in game 2.
Another question I have about in the NBA, Sixers at Knicks. Joel Embiid will miss game 2 because of right hip soreness and a right ankle sprain. At this point,
was it because his wallet was weighing him down? And he was shelling out money to the Sixers fans?
Which company was it? Milton Bradley that created the game Operation. Milton Bradley would make a killing if they created a version of Operation
with Joel Embiid.
And Joel Embiid was the guy.
It'd
on the
be a very
operating
big
table.
board.
It would be a very long board. Yeah. But at this point, what hasn't this guy injured?
Oh, that's a great question.
He came into the league hurt, and he's going to leave the league injured.
He had an emergency appendectomy a month ago. Yeah. He literally is the operation guy. Like, I feel like at any point something on him hurts. And I know NBA players play through a lot of stuff, but like Joel Embiid has to be, I can only imagine what Sixers fans feel. But I have to imagine Joel Embiid is one of the most frustrating players in sports to root for because he is immensely talented, but he is always hurt. And he seems to miss a lot of big games.
The thing with it is when he's playing, he's a dominant player.
Absolutely.
He's totally a dominant player. But the problem is, like you said, he misses way too many games.
And seemingly a lot of important games, too.
Yeah, a lot of important games, but he can't stop injuries. I mean, once he went down, it was, what was it? The first game where he started stretching a little bit. They showed him on the sideline, and now he can't play the second game. So, man. Well, at least they got a win, you know. Well, no, they didn't. They lost.
They lost.
They got blew
game.
out. Yeah, they blew out.
And so now the Knicks
series prior,
10.5 favorites. The Knicks.
They may blow them out by more than 10 with Joel not being there, and they still got good players. Maxey is their lead dog, other than Joel Embiid. So they still got some good players on their roster. But man, without Joel Embiid playing against the Knicks, I don't know if they got a chance. Philadelphia. You know, so we'll see.
I mean, to me, in the NBA playoffs, the question is, can anybody stop Oklahoma City? Like, until I see it, I'm going to have a hard time believing.
Yeah, I'm not sure the remaining teams now. And because you thought that possibly it could be San Antonio and OKC in the Western Conference Finals, but San Antonio finds himself down 1-0. Wemby didn't play well. He was good, but he didn't play the way he needed to play in order for them to get the win. The problem with San Antonio, they're a young team. They're such a young team, and Minnesota is a very veteran team that has been in this situation before. So I wouldn't be surprised, even though I think San Antonio, if you're talking about the youngsters they got, they're probably more talented. I just think because Minnesota, you know, led by Anthony Edwards. I was about to say Anthony Anderson. Anthony Edwards.
That would be something.
Yeah, exactly. Anthony Edwards and Gobert played well the first game. Gobert has to play well in order for Minnesota to win.
I got a question for you guys. What do you guys think? It wasn't that long ago, maybe a decade ago, where it was still the super teams, right? It was, you got to load up. And there were probably 5 or 6 teams, if I can recall.
The Warriors.
Right. It was Warriors Cavs for 3 straight years, right? And, you know, the Spurs were in there. The Heat were in there for a while when LeBron was there.
The Celtics.
Celtics had their little run.
The Nets tried it. That did not work.
Right. No. Well, no, it doesn't always work.
Yes.
But it seems like the shift now, there's a lot more good teams. There's a little more intrigue of what's going to happen in each series. It's not like, well, it's going to be the Warriors, it's going to be the Spurs, it's going, you know. So you have that, but if it's Oklahoma City against New York, well, I mean, if the Knicks are in it, that's a big story. But
yeah, absolutely.
But you know, like we don't have those super juggernauts that like Lakers Celtics. Are they missing a little something like that? Like, I would love to see just maybe a couple more teams. Maybe the Spurs are on their way to that with Wembanyama. I don't know.
It's a good question.
Well, but do you agree? It's like it's not that like the talent spread across a little bit more than it was.
And you like it that way, or you would prefer it to?
Well, I think it's a trade-off.
Mhm.
I do like that there's more good teams. I like that during the course. If I'm a fan of some of these teams, I feel like we could make a good playoff run. Whereas before, it's like, hey, yeah, I know we're good. We got 45 wins, or we're going to win 48 or 50 games, but I don't think we can hang with LeBron. Or I think that was the case for a lot of these teams for a long time.
No, but what you said is right. I think there's enough good players to elite players spread across the league that, you have to build a complete team. You have to have, a bench. You have to have role players. That's why OKC is so good. Listen, they outscored the Lakers 30-15 on their bench, and the Lakers lost by 16 points. So not only do they have a really good starting five, meaning OKC, but when they go to their and their second best player didn't even play yesterday. But when you go to their bench and their bench is scoring 30, that's a balanced team, and it's hard to beat a team like that.
It's a good question. I mean, I like a postseason, which feels unpredictable. For a while, it was like, all right, call me when the NBA finals start, because I know which teams are going to end up in the NBA
Golden
finals.
State and Cleveland.
It was definitely like that for a while.
I'm trying to look up NBA finals by year if I can find the list.
Golden State, Cleveland. I'm talking. Okay, Golden State.
Like
in the West,
it
the
changed from year to
Lakers.
year, some, but there was, the Kobe's Lakers with Shaq. Like you can go through the years. There was
LeBron 10 straight years of going to the NBA Finals.
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So they
Spurs always were in the mix, but it was a relatively small pool of teams with a few exceptions here and there.
You know what I need to watch? I've been meaning to watch this. When you mentioned Kobe's Lakers, it sprung to mind. The new Untold Netflix on the Jailblazers.
I hadn't heard about that
with Rasheed Wallace, Damon Stoudemire, Bonzi Wells, Arvydas Sabonis. Wow. I don't think he was involved in it, but he was on the team. Huh. Yeah, the Jailblazers. It's on Netflix now.
Oh, okay.
Brian Grant, I believe, was on that team too. It was that was the time.
Yeah, that's a hell of a team.
Those teams gave the Lakers all they could handle.
Yes, they did.
But yeah, so if you need something to watch tonight,
didn't Scottie Pippen go to them at one point?
He was on the Blazers. I don't know if he was.
That was after
he
he left Houston.
Yeah, he may have overlapped at the end.
I feel like that's at the remember the whole Last Dance. That was the big plot of Scottie Pippen in that year. Didn't he leave to go to the Blazers after? I think he went to Portland.
I think it was Houston.
Houston, was it Houston or Portland?
I think it was Houston because he was with Charles Barkley.
I feel like there was a Western Conference final where Scottie Pippen was with the Blazers.
I have no recollection of Scottie Pippen on the Rockets.
Yeah, could have been. I don't know.
Let's look it up. We have the means.
We have time.
Yes.
Quickly, another show that I'm watching.
Yes,
it's a Nashville-based show.
Okay, is it Nashville?
No, it's not. I love Nashville, the show. But it's called. I think it's kind of cheesy, but I love it. I like it. It's called Mortgage or Marriage, or Marriage or Mortgage, one of the two. So,
oh my,
they take people out either. You got a certain amount of money you want to spend on your wedding, or you got a certain amount of money you want to put down on your down payment. So people are contemplating as they go see these three houses and these three venues. What are we going to do? Are we going to put $30,000 and have the wedding, or $30,000 and get the house? And I've always thought, like, what? That's not even a choice. I'm taking the house. I build equity in the house. I can't build equity in a marriage, like a ceremony. I can't build equity in that.
Quickly, he did go to the Rockets for 1 year, Scottie Pippen. Then 4 years with the Blazers, and then this is I completely forgot about this. Back to the Bulls for his last year. Yeah. 03.
He went back to the Bulls?
I don't remember that either.
I don't remember that one.
That'll do it for us today. Elliot Freeman, Sportsnet NHL Insider, will join the show tomorrow. We'll get back into the Predators, the Titans, and more starting tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Be loved on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music. Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. See you tomorrow on 102.5. The game started at 3 p.m. because we be talking and you be listening. Peace.